Hey friends, welcome to class notes number 28. So this time you won't see my face in the corner. I will just voice over the practice of yesterday night's class. So starting off as usual with joint rotations from the feet up with the ankle joints. As you know, this is kind of a ritual for me, checking in with the body. Doesn't really count as a warm-up, but rather a system of checking into the body. And as my friend Yuval Ayalon says, when he's preparing for his handstands, when he goes to the hands the first time during a day, for the first time in his practice, he doesn't want to run into any form of surprise. And this is the same for me. I love to move every joint in my body first before I add intensity and move through the patterns of Bagua Zhang or wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under pressure. So first I check in, I see if everything works the way I would like it to, and if it doesn't, I need to change it a little bit and spend more time, for example, here on hip circles when I feel that I am a little tight in the lower back or stiff in another region like the glutes or the hamstrings, whatever that may be. So I start the regular classes almost always with the same exercises, so people get a reference to how those exercises feel on a normal day, and they will notice if they don't feel the same way on a particular day, and so they are prepared to move a little more carefully into the movement patterns we want to practice later. So usually, as mentioned before, starting from the ankles up to the knees, to the hips, through the spine. And the main topic of these past weeks have been our shoulders. We've been working on the shoulder cues, as you've seen before. So I am specifically focusing now also on developing the shoulder girdle as well as the mobility in our shoulder joint. And so starting off here with this external and internal rotation with long elongated arms. Looks like not much, right? You've seen that before, internal rotation and external rotation of the hands. But the interesting part is always when you slow things down. So here I start to turn and rotate my hands, and I let the rotation travel up from my wrist, travel up to my elbow, travel up into my shoulder joint. And I try to really feel how the fascia is moving, how my connective tissue is moving from the fingertips to the elbow joint and into the thoracic spine. So that's actually, the video is a little bit fast forwarded, so I would even go slower than this tempo here. I just fast forward it all the time because it just gets too boring if I have it in regular speed. So the second version of those arm spirals or screwdrivers is moving both arms in the opposite direction. So while one hand is moving into external rotation, the other hand is moving into internal rotation. And if you do that as a form of a warm-up, 30 seconds should be good. So you get a nice feel of your shoulder joint mobility at this particular day. But I also recommend to do this exercise in sets of 3 or like 5 sets a day, and going for a full minute, just as well with those arm swings here. They work great as a warm-up tool, but they are even more powerful if you practice them as an exercise and really go for it like if you would practice a strength set. So 5 sets, 1 minute, and then you will actually see and feel something changing into your in your connective tissue, in your fascia, and you will enjoy the benefits of it. So arm swings, in these arm swings here, they are, well, really the most basic form of arm swings. I just have my arm swing in unilateral pattern. And that's the warm-up part. Now we went into a 3 exercise superset, so to say. The first one, just leaving all our body weight on our knees and legs, shifting our center of mass over our hands and then lifting the palm off the floor while keeping the fingers on the ground. So that's a mobility and stretching exercise, just as this one here, where I interlace my knuckles. I put the back of my fist on the floor, and now I try to lift my elbows up as far as I can. Also, this works nicely as a stretch, but also a little bit of a strengthening exercise. And I do that in a superset in this class here. We did 3 sets of those, and the third exercise of this superset is the bounces against the wall. You can do those with 2 hands on the wall. We did it with just 1 hand. Important to note is that you want to keep the rest of your body, which is not moving, really tight, and your shoulder blades opened. So just as we worked with the cue over the last weeks, we want to keep our shoulder blades open and then really bounce off the wall, just if you were jumping on your feet with extended legs. Okay, so 3 sets of those. Go for 30 seconds each or 10 repetitions each. Now we went into the first lesson on our 5th palm change. Small frame still. And this is where we spent quite some time on, because for most people in the class, this was the first time they got introduced into this palm change. So slow motion, step-by-step practice as always. And not talking about too many details right now, just turning into a Bagua stance, toe out, toe in with the next step into Kobu, and then the pressing down motion, the weight shift, and basically finishing the 5th palm change of our small frame of the Izong Bagua palm changes. Okay, step forward, Kobu, now turn and pivot, then a Bagua, a Kobu, and then open again to press down, change direction, and again, weight shift to the other side. So that's the 5th palm change of our small frame, of our 8 palm changes in the Gao style, as we teach and learn it in Izong Bagua system, or Izong Bagua school. Very beautiful palm change again, and we will dig into the details over the next weeks. So keep following those class notes and you might learn something about it. For now, just copy paste and get used to that, especially this first pivot here. That's a very special one with pretty weird angles, although nice form. So after that, also just adding more straight line patterns to our arsenal. We started off with Tiao, the 6th form of our first line, and we went through the rest of the first line. So after Tiao, there comes Zhang, covering palm, where you pull back and lift your hands up, and then you step forward and you put your hands down and you move into a long gongbu stance as if you are covering something with a blanket. You pull back, lift your hands, step forward, and you cover. Okay, this has a lot of nice applications and is probably the most exhausting or tiring form of the whole first line, even if it looks so simple. But keep the stance long and low and you will notice how that actually is quite a strong movement pattern. The last one is 缠手式, the upwinding or entwining hands here, striking forward and then turning in. And this form is very special because it has this nice pivot around the front foot, and much more on this in the upcoming episodes of our class notes. Have a nice weekend, everyone.